thing. That's
Right.
lonely. That's lonely.
Right. Right.
Because can't nobody save you. You know what I mean? Like, you can't keep sending it to commercial. You got to do something, so you better figure it out. Sink or swim.
That's what's up.
I lived to the end of that one. I was like, I got to get this time up on the show. I was like, I lived to the end. I told Ro, I was like, I'll never do that to you again. I said, next time it won't be like that.
Bruh, I forgot my name for like an hour. And finally my program director called on the hotline. He said, Cat, write your name down and just read it off the paper, all right?
Yeah, I forgot to call them. The TV, I got embarrassed for the whole region. I got embarrassed for the whole region. Jumped in a live shot, didn't know it was live, and was playing around in the background.
David.
That was bad. All New England saw that one.
That's almost like mooning. When somebody was doing an interview, they just showed the picture of him trying to moon. Stand by, brother. Now this game is just getting started right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK, all new 92.3 FM. It is our Freestyle Friday, and I'm starting off with my brother like no other from a different mother, all the way from Louisiana. He is the host of Hard in the Paint. He also writes for MLBBro.com and CrescentCitySports.com. It is David Grubb. What's up, my brother?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself? It's good to get to the weekend.
I'm trying to tell you, man, this has been a week. Last week was a week, and all that went on with that. And I keep telling people, don't hold none of this against me, man. I'm just kind of in a quiet, pensive mode, just kind of processing everything, and just trying to figure out how to respond and move around safely. And then, of course, we got our jobs, so we got sports to deal with. So, it's been something, man. It's been something.
Yeah, this is a difficult time for me because the draft is like every year for any sport, the draft is the most conflicting emotionally time for me because I just don't like them. I don't agree with them fundamentally, but they are part of the job and you can't dismiss them. You have to deal with them because they exist.
Right.
And they are valid currently, but it's hard to watch. And I mean, we can get into it, but it's really hard for me to deal with drafts. I don't like them.
And again, there are people that roll their eyes when we talk about, just the nature of the draft and what it represents and how literally in no other business do you come out of college and you want to go and work at McDonald's. And instead of you getting to go work at McDonald's, Wendy's drafts you. And whether you want to or not, you got to go work at Wendy's for at least 5 years. And they got a chance to keep you a couple of more years after that by virtue of your contract. No other business does that happen.
And it's not even, you don't even get to go to Wendy's. Like you want to work for Wendy's or McDonald's, or whatever, and they send you to the gas station in the middle of the desert that might get 5 or 6 people who come in every day. That's where they sent you.
Right.
And you had no choice in that. And the outcome of your life, your career, the thing that you only get one shot at in a very real way. You don't get a second chance at like an accountant. You might get fired at your first job, whatever. There's plenty of other accounting jobs.
Right.
There are only so many professional sports jobs.
Right.
So, and your career is short term anyway. You talk about an average 3-year career in the NFL. If you get to 3.5, you made it.
You've done something.
And to have that determined by all the factors, you don't have any choice in that. So other people's evaluation of you, other people's value of you, they're telling you what they think of you and where you should be.
Yep.
And that is going to determine your entire life going forward. And people can say, no, it doesn't. Yeah, you look how many people whose careers in the NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, whatever, would have been changed by them being in a different locale, with a different franchise, with a different having to choose and say, I don't want to be in this place. And also just the aspect of you being someone's property. Like it's the only one where we still allow human beings to be locked up and chatteled off, and sold. You can be bought, you can be traded. And there's something that is innately bothersome for me in thinking of a human that way, that I can move you without agreement, without your, belief in it. You don't want to go, but I can send you anywhere as long as I feel like I got fair trade in return. And that to me, like, I don't have to paint the picture, but what is that? When you have turned a human being into property that can be moved, what are you saying about the value of that person ultimately?
Well, like I said, I know I got a lot of people that don't like that. I got a lot of people that feel like, oh, give it a rest. And, if that's the way you feel, then let these people go out and get regular jobs like us. And, and then let's see how they feel. They'll be bagging my groceries or handing me my fries out of the window.
There are plenty of jobs that have a lot of wealth where we're not saying that's a fair trade-off. Where else would you say that? Where would you say for the benefit of my entertainment? I can't say that I want you to trade Eddie Murphy from Paramount over to TriStar or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I want Eddie Murphy work for Warner Brothers only now. That doesn't work. They don't do that in Hollywood anymore. They used to have those exclusive contracts for stars.
Yeah.
They don't have those anymore.
Yeah.
You don't even have them for that. So if studios can't lock up people anymore without the agreement of the actor.
Yeah.
Then why is it that this and no other athlete? You couldn't say Tiger Woods can only work for Nike or only work for these companies or whatever. But in sports, for these sports in particular, that are dominated by certain ethnicities of people, we're saying that you can be bought and sold because that's the exchange for this money. And the draft itself, the body of it, the presentation, the poverty, I call it poverty porn. It's like they want to look at people to justify that structure of power. And say, you see, the draft is necessary because otherwise these people would never make it. That's exactly the problem.
Right.
That's exactly the problem. We have a country that creates this mechanism where we're saying professional football is your way out of poverty. Well, how many people can actually win that lottery? Mm-hmm. So if that's the goal, if you're saying a lot of dreams got fulfilled, the dream is to play professional sports because it brings a lot of money or that you love it. But the goal is not to be drafted. The goal is to play professional football so you can provide the money. But they've conflagrated the two and made the draft the goal. I want to get drafted. No. It's the same thing with colleges. It's like you want to get an offer. No. You earn these things. They are not privileges. They are things that you did the work to earn. You are one of the best athletes in the world at doing what you do. So you have the power. They need your talent. Yes, they can replace it, but you have more power and agency than you think.
That's an interesting point that you just gave there. David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, writer for ML Bro and CrescentCitySports.com. It'd be interesting if instead of the way the draft is set up now, you literally have the teams bid for one player. Like, just make the best offer they can for the one player and let that player choose the best offer or the offer that, that makes more sense to them. And then they go there and then they got to do it all over again with the next pick and the next pick and the next pick, because now it puts more of the emphasis on, the like what we do. We have multiple companies that might bid for our services if we're that good. And we get to decide which one we choose out of all of those available bids. And, like you said, then it takes the emphasis off of you need this in order to advance your life, advance your career, as opposed to my talents have put me in a place where I've got choices.
And who is the burden of success placed entirely upon? It's placed on the athlete, because the athlete, if you're a bust, it's your fault. It's your fault you're the bust. It's not about your situation. It's not about you saying, because again, you have the choice right now. If your situation at KYOK was like, you say, I can't do this, you can walk. Yeah. There's a burden for that. Yeah, you might have to, have a non-compete or whatever contract and things like that, but you can leave. They can't keep you against your will. Right. But in sports, if I don't agree with this coach, if I don't agree with this offense, I don't agree with these things, and I think there's a better situation for me somewhere else, there's no way for me to do this unless you find what you want in return value. Right. So it's I think the burden should not be on the individual then to be account for the organization's missteps. Yeah. Because you didn't do a good job building your team. You want me, because that's why you drafted Trevor Lawrence. Right. You want Trevor Lawrence to save the Jacksonville Jaguars. Right. That's not his burden. Right. Your job is to build the team and then put me in position to succeed.
And to take that a step further, that's where you get fans talk about, oh, he needs to take a home team discount, and he needs to, just take this amount of money so that they can sign other players. It's not that person's job to manage your salaries such that you will be able to do your bit. You're the one who needs to manage your salaries and make sure you pay me fairly and somebody else fairly, what have you. It just blows my mind. David, I've had 2 non-compete clauses in my life, and brother, I felt like I was going to die. Because when I was no longer with those companies, I couldn't work in that field because I had those non-compete clauses. So imagine a player like an Aaron Rodgers decides he wants out. He don't want to play for them folks no more. They don't like him. He don't like them. Get away from me. You stink. You can't go anywhere.
Couldn't you, I think if you had a different system, and like you said, where players got to interview those teams out of college, everybody had a pool of money. This is what you get as an organization to sign whatever rookies you want. But you got to go out there and you got to present your case to them. Do you want, do they want to be with you? Everybody's got the same budget.
Yeah.
But you got to go out there and present yourself to these players.
Yeah.
And people that say, well, everybody wants to go sign with these certain teams. Why? Kids want to play. So you're going to go to the place where you think is the best place to play.
Right.
This isn't college where you're trying to enhance your value.
Right.
In the NFL, you're trying to get your value.
Right.
So these guys are not going to all go to one place.
No.
And then you add the second part where that would be if the organizational concession would be, okay, we'll let you do that. But yeah, we have to negotiate a set of teams that we will not send you to or you can't play for if you break out of our contract early. Like, because the same if you fire a coach, right? If as long as you're paying them, they can't take another job. But the minute they take another job, you stop paying.
That money dries up. You ain't on the Barry Bonilla deal. Listen, man, we got to take a quick break. David Grubb already coming in the door, breaking it down right here on the Lunch Break Freestyle Friday. If you want to get in, 281-453-1000. It's 281-453-1000. Or you can text me, 832-403-5005. That's 832-403-5005. It's the Lunch Break Freestyle Friday on the Legendary KYOK.
Hello, this is Claude Cummings Jr., Vice President of Communication Workers of America District 6. Trey and I are inviting you to listen in to our new political talk show, Power to the People Political Hour. Hello, this is Trey Daniels from the Daniels Group. Yes, Claude, the show will be hard-hitting and informative, talking about national and local political issues of the day, week, and month. Interviews will be with pastors, community leaders, elected officials, and political operatives. You know, Claude, a part of our responsibility is informing the citizenry and give them power to the people. That's right, Trey. We're asking that you listen in on 1140 AM, 92.3, or streaming on KYOKradio.org, Thursdays at 10 a.m. Got to give the people time. Give the people what they want. The right. KYOK, 1140 AM and 92.3 FM. The legend continues.
And I are so thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine because this is a deadly disease and this vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. Getting vaccinated is safe and it could save your life and allow us to start getting back to seeing friends and family again. We can do this. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/coronavirus.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
This is Jasmine Highsmith, and you're having Inside of Sports with your lunch here on the Lunch Break on the Legendary KYOK.
All right, y'all, back on the Lunch Break on the Legendary KYOK, all new 92.3 FM. Big shout out to Keith Hennick, Caller of the Year 2020. Courtney Cortez, what's up, goddaughter? Hope you're doing well. And back with my guy, David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, writer for MLBBro.com, CrescentCitySports.com. And oh, yeah, by the way, he calls men and women's Tulane University basketball. Can't leave that out being that's my alma mater. So, brother, they went on with the draft last night. Roger Goodell, does he need to take a Toastmasters class? Does he need to realize you might be the head man in charge of the NFL, but that don't mean you know how to rock a mic? I mean, dude, you cannot really be that awkward after this many drafts. It's just not even cute anymore. Roger, do better.
Do less. Do less.
Less is more.
Just get up there and say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the draft, blah, blah, blah. Let's get it started. Come out there, read the names, and move on. Like that's it's already long enough.
4 hours.
It's not a game. You know what I mean? Like it's still ridiculous at this point in time. We're still giving teams 10 minutes to do something that they've already set up their boards to do. If you cut the time, they just have to go faster. That's their job. You've prepared all season for this. You should be ready to go. But yeah, Goodell, he's not a human being. He's shown you he doesn't have empathy for people. He doesn't understand these people. It's about this little moment where you get to pretend. You give them their hug and their pound, and you can look cool for a minute and stand there with these young men that you're about to exploit.
I almost feel like he needs to do it like debate prep. Like somebody needs to come and be a video or down in his basement with that ugly chair and just
he was in his home last year. He's in his home last year doing it, and he couldn't do it right. And it's just he doesn't know how to relate to people, and that's part of the NFL's problem is that this is such a business. It is not it's the humanity of it is gone. You know, there's none of that in the office. The people do it.
Yeah.
You know, you always have those people within organizations, but you can tell the tone is this is cold. This is business, and they don't have that emotion that makes you feel like they really care or connect with you, even as a fan. That's why fans are angrier than ever at the league itself.
Yeah.
There's no connection between the league and the fans.
I mean, he's turned it into a thing. It's not a good thing. Come on. You can do better than that. Come on.
Remember when the draft was it still had the same popularity. I don't think there was any less, involvement by people. And moving the days, that's fine because you're trying to get more. I get it. You're trying to get more eyeballs on it during the weekdays. But the people are going to watch. And it's not the extra fireworks and graphics and stuff.
Right.
It's still the same amount of time. You just want to hear people talk. And if you just care about your team or certain players, it doesn't change. So I don't get the added spectacle. I mean, it's the production, 4 hours. And you go complain about game length, and it's 4 hours of name calls? No.
Bro, I knew we were in trouble when we were 2 hours in and we had like 12 names called, 13 names called. I was like, oh, no. But listen, every graphic designer out there probably had a little bit of throw up in the back of their mouth when they saw that intro graphics of Urban Meyer walking down, the hallway with all his former quarterbacks coming out. I'm like, dude, I got a 7-year-old granddaughter that can do better than that. Where did y'all get that from? You didn't. That should have been, we're not going to put that in. That's great. I appreciate you working on that, but we're not going to use that. And they did.
I mean, the best you have is Alex Smith. Bruh. That's the best quarterback he ever produced.
Bruh.
Right?
Bruh.
Who that came from Urban Meyer's done better than Alex Smith?
College?
I mean, in college, sure. I get, But now you got T-Bar there trying to be a tight end at 34 years old. So
yeah, man.
Urban Meyer, I don't get this whole quarterback guru thing. In college, it's easy to be a quarterback guru. Yeah. It's easy.
Yeah.
You see programs all the time that run off these string of college quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And then it stops because you stop getting, everybody's time passes. So yeah, Urban Meyer's hot right now, but he'll be cold tomorrow.
Well, he got the number 1 pick in the draft. He was able to select Trevor Lawrence, quarterback out of Clemson. And to your point in our earlier discussion, now the mark or the weight is on Trevor Lawrence's back to go in and change the culture and get a bunch of wins down in Jacksonville. And I'm sorry, Trevor Lawrence ain't blocking for himself. He's not playing on defense. He's not sacking quarterbacks. He's not defending receivers. I just don't know if I see a 10-game turnaround in Jacksonville.
And then on top of that, you talk about they have 2 picks in the first round. And I love Travis Etienne.
I do too.
I wish he had come out last year.
We've got family that lives here. They listen. And we've gotten phone calls from them about where we thought he was going to go. He went in the first round, which he would have done last year. But finish your point.
So he goes to Jacksonville, and Urban Meyer's talking about I'm going to use him as a 3rd down back. You took a guy in the first round to be your 3rd down back on a team that was next to last in the league in defense and has a terrible offensive line and still doesn't really have legitimate receivers on the outside or a tight end, and you took a 3rd down back with your other pick. The first thing you have to do is make sure that line can protect this skinny kid back there who had plenty of time to throw at Clemson, and he's never seen anything like this, what he's about to face, and you give him a third down back. Okay.
I think Urban got caught up in the lights because he hadn't been in them in a while, and he didn't mean to say third down back. He meant to say we're going to play him, we're going to rotate him in with Carlos Hyde and with, I forget the other running back.
I really think Robinson. Yeah.
Robinson, yeah.
But I really think, you take this and you look at it and it's, even if that was your thought, I think he's looking at this like he's got another Percy Harvin.
Right.
Like
exactly.
That's what he wants ATN to be, is Percy Harvin. But this is not college. You can't make up for your bad defense with a multi-purpose offensive player. It doesn't work that way. You're not going to be playing games in the NFL in the 40s. You can't put up 50 points on Georgia. This is the NFL. There's no Mississippi State on your schedule. There's no, no, I just don't
South
get
Carolina,
it.
Yeah. You ain't playing Vanderbilt.
You're trying to keep this kid upright for year one. You're not going to make the playoffs. There's no way Jacksonville, like you said, doesn't turn around and win 10, 11 games this year. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So isn't year one about making sure that you have the right quarterback, that he's right for your system, that he can develop, and not letting him get sacked 40 times?
I think that's the plan, but I just don't see, unless he goes lineman crazy with the number one pick tonight and with, further picks throughout the night, round 2 and 3 tonight and 4 through 7 tomorrow, unless he goes line and weapons crazy, you're just putting Trevor Lawrence in the same position that you had Gardner Minshew, that you had, I forget what the rookie was that they had. You're putting him in the same position. And again, he might be worth 2 games, 3, but you're not going 9-7, 9-8 because of the 17 games this year. You're not going to win 9 games. You might not win 8. I see maybe 5 or 4, if that.
And you're trying to make that jump with a rookie quarterback who got 3 years of college. His last year's in a COVID-shortened season. And he's also somebody that's shown you wouldn't have a national championship as a freshman. That's fine. Now you done lost the last 2.
Right. Now, again, a lot of folks don't talk about that. That's why I'm glad to have you on. David, we got to go to a quick break. We'll come right back, and then we'll look at the fact that the top 3 picks in the drafts were QB. I got to ask you about that second and third one right after this on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. All right, TD, I see your comment right there. I'll read it right after this on the lunch break. This isn't TD Blackshear, though. I know who that is. I got a comment question for you, David, when we come back right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
Tune in to Table Talk with your boy, TD Blackshear, every Tuesday from 10 to 11 a.m. on the legendary KYOK, 1140 a.m. and 92.3 FM. See you there.
In need of tires? Check out OMG Tire Services and more. New and used tires, all the name brands you desire, located at 3126 Tidwell between 59 North and Jensen. Give them a call at 832-767-3211. Top-notch service from beginning to end. When you're done, get your car hand-washed inside and out at OMG Tire Services and more. Located at 3126 Tidwell between 59 North and Jensen. Call 832-767-3211. That's 832-767-3211. Conveniently located on the north side.
I'm Larry Scott, host of the Not So Christian and Me Show. Join me Saturdays for great fun, interviews, music, and the latest news surrounding our world today. We are the show that cares to hear your voice and opinion with real conversation in a no judgment zone. So join me Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m. on the Not So Christian and Me Show, right here on the legendary KYOK Radio, 1140 AM, and the all-new 92.3 FM and KYOKradio.org.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy, Todd Delaney, and right now you're listening to the Lunch Break Sports Talk Show with AJ on the legendary KYOK.
Appreciate Todd Delaney. He's a worship leader now, but played minor league baseball and was about to get called up. He decided to go and sing. Ain't mad at him because he does that very well as well. Got David Grubb, host of Hard to Paint, writer for MLBBro.com, CrescentCitySports.com, calls Tulane men and women's basketball, and he's a good dude. So, David, to no surprise, the top 3 picks in this year's draft were quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, we kind of knew that one. Willie Gibson held out hope that Urban Meyer was going to do something, crazy and get Justin Fields, because that's his guy. But again, no shade there. What's up with Zach Wilson going to the Jets? I tweeted out the Jets don't want to win, and it needed to be said, because just like we said about Trevor Lawrence, Zach's got to go into New York with the Jets and turn them into a winner. Come on now.
And who's done the last, Chad Pennington would be the last solid quarterback the Jets had. And then prior to that, you'd have to say Ken O'Brien. So you could say Vinny Testaverde, but Vinny was, he was playing in a very safe, he wasn't the reason that the Jets were going to be good. So if you're drafting a quarterback this high, and that's what they did with Ken O'Brien when they took him over Dan Marino, and that's what you're doing now when you're taking Zach Wilson, I think you are making a bet. Now, the people who I've talked to about quarterbacks, they are high on Zach Wilson. I know people who think that Zach Wilson is better than Trevor Lawrence. There are a lot of people who think that he has a higher potential, and I think that would be the same at the third spot with Trey Lance. Is what you're betting on is their potential, not their actual production up to this point. Because Zach Wilson hasn't played a ton of games. Trey Lance hasn't played a ton of games. So you're really betting on them to be, their potential and to be able to utilize them within the system you're taking. I think you're right with the Jets. It's still really hard. But I'd also say the Jets defense is pretty solid. But that offense is terrible. But they're happy with their first two. They got an offensive lineman, they got a quarterback. But they did back up that quarterback with offensive lineman.
Right.
They sure that they got some protection for him. So at least I'll give the Jets credit for that. But they're the Jets. Until proven otherwise, they're the Jets. And that's why, I look at the Lions, my favorite team growing up, and still, and I can't be happy or sad when it's them, because as many good draft picks that pan out, just as many that you think are never do.
Yeah. I like Robert Salah. I like him. Salah, however you pronounce it. But it's the Jets. And they just don't always spend their resources to give the coach and the players all that they need to be successful. So to bring a kid in from BYU, and you can't overlook that, into New York City. Yeah, they play in New Jersey, but it's New York City. And it's just different. It's a lot to ask for an organization that's going to put you not on first base, not on second base, not on third, but they're going to give you not your bat to work with. They're going to give you a bat to work with, and you got to go up there and make it happen. I just don't know if that's the right kid in the right situation to get that done. I don't know who is. I'm not saying I didn't want Justin Fields to go there. I definitely didn't want that. But I just don't know if this young man is going to be able to get that done.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. As soon as Mark Sanchez was halfway decent, people wanted to call him the next Joe Namath. Your coach is getting a tattoo of your jersey on him and all this stuff. There's too much pressure, and to beat the Jets are already the second team, no matter what. Even when they are good and the Giants are bad,
right,
you're still the Jets. It's like being the Mets. You're never the Yankees. You're never
Yankees, Mets, Giants, Jets.
Knicks, Nets. I guess the second team is always going to be the ETS. And that's how it's going to be in that town. And you look at it with this situation, you say, also with BYU quarterbacks, what's been their history? You've only had two that have been successes in the NFL, and that was Jim McMahon and Steve Young.
Yeah.
And Steve Young, it took him a couple years to get up and going in the NFL, and Jim McMahon, his body broke down on him. So since then, all these Brigham Young quarterbacks that have been exceptional, that people thought were going to be the next thing, none of them have panned out. And so, you have to be worried about that as well. Is that does that program create good quarterbacks? And there were 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Usually, only 2 of them make it.
I said that. I said that
3 at the most
are going to be. Yeah.
So you're betting on who's the best bust potential in this group. And I think location has to be part of that. And the Jets being that bad, it doesn't work for Zach Wilson unless this team gets really good support around him really quickly.
David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, CrystalCitySports.com and MLBBros.com, MLBBro.com. Question: what are you going to get out of Zach Wilson that you didn't already have in Sam Darnold?
I think you believe he's more accuracy.
Okay.
Sam Darnold was not good at accuracy. He didn't anticipate throws, and I think that's what they're looking for in Zach Wilson as a guy who. And those are the two things. I think the most important things when you come out of college, from talking with all the people I've talked with, and going all the way back to Bill Walsh, you can't teach accuracy and you can't teach anticipation.
Okay.
And so I believe that they think that his instincts and feel for the game are much better. I didn't like Sam Darnold when he was at USC. I didn't see anything in him that made him special. He's big and he has a really strong arm, but I don't see anything in Sam Darnold that should make Carolina feel like they have the quarterback of the future. And I'm surprised they didn't take Justin Fields when he was available to them, or at least Mac Jones. If you're not confident that you're going to develop a running quarterback or a multi-dimensional quarterback, you pass on all of them in your Carolina, and all you have is Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I think there were just some weird decisions made in the first round, particularly with those quarterbacks.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I saw Sam Darnold play a couple times in college, and I saw tools there. I saw Sam Darnold when the Texans played the Jets, and he actually played well. Texans won, but he actually played well. I mean, he made good decisions. He made plays. You could see that this young man had talent. John Beck, I got a chance for the first time to hear him on the NFL Network yesterday. And I liked his commentary because he didn't have a whole lot of bias in his commentary about the quarterbacks. In fact, he said a lot of people don't realize that good quarterback play a lot of time is about the system that they go into, but not the way you think. There are some quarterbacks that go into systems where they're not allowed to set the protection. They're not allowed to audible out of plays. The center goes to the line, sets the protection, and literally gives the quarterback his reads. And in some systems, the quarterbacks themselves have to work with that. Guess what? If the play breaks down, they're stuck. Their job is to not throw the ball away, not turn it over, and live to fight another day. But we as casual fans think, oh, he can't read defenses, or, oh, he can't go through his progressions when he's been given that at the line by another player. And that's been, remember Jim McMahon got hit in the head? Harbaugh got slapped in the head by Mike Ditka. Because he changed the play. And, I mean, he changed it to the right play. It didn't work out. But because he changed the play, Mike Ditka slapped a grown man in his head on national TV. That's a different system for certain quarterbacks that might not work for them. So I just wonder if a guy like Zach Wilson, coming from the environment that he was in, I'm sure Robert Saleh's not going to do that. But, again, if he's not given the right system for his quarterback style and his ability, we could be looking at another kid wondering why he didn't make it.
And that's what we talk about, is that you don't have any control of that. That offensive coordinator has his ideas. That head coach has his ideas. And most coaches will not trust their quarterback. And I don't think you have to give Peyton Manning type power to your quarterback.
Agreed. Yep.
But it goes to like with Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship game. And you don't let Aaron Rodgers determine what's going to happen in that situation. At certain points, you have to let a guy run his offense.
Right.
Like it's the same with a coach and his point guard. Yep. At some point, you have to let him make the decision because he's seeing it in real time. You may have the idea, and certainly what you see on film. What happened?
I'm sorry. A FedEx truck just backed into a light pole in our parking lot, and a 20-foot light pole just came tumbling down in the middle of the parking lot. Like, it's just laying there right now. And I don't know if the FedEx truck thinks he's going to drive off, but I see you, dog. I see you right there. You need to park, come in, and because that's laying out in the middle of the parking lot. I'm just sitting here watching it fall. I knew it wasn't going to get to me, but yeah, man, I'm sorry. I'm just looking up and I'm like,
have people going out there yet? To go talk to this dude?
No, man, he on his phone. He doing what he need to do. But and it almost hit somebody else's car. It's 3 feet away from somebody else's car.
He's very lucky.
Very lucky. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough day for him. But anyway, as you were saying, please forgive me.
Or just what was that? You don't have any control of what the coach is going to say, and you want your quarterback in those situations because they're in real time seeing what's happening in that moment.
Right.
You're able to trust what they see.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that up to some point, yes, you want to stay within the framework, but you have to give people, no matter what, at a certain level, the ability to make their own decisions. That's what a good manager does with their people.
Right.
You say, I've given you everything I can.
Yep.
I'm trusting you to make the right decision.
Yep. David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, writer for MLBBro.com and Crescent City Sports, joining us on Freestyle Friday. We're breaking down the NFL draft. That's why to this day, and I'll say it proudly, Norm Chow and that Fisher dude, no respect for them whatsoever, because they literally brought Vince Young in, told him that they didn't want him, let them know that they were looking for other people instead of him, and then talked bad about him while they were, quote unquote, coaching him up in their system. I don't believe I'm going to say this. I got to give Mac Brown credit. Mac Brown just let the dude do what he does well, and it got them a national championship. When he left Tennessee and got a chance to just be him, he did some real good things. So, man, I just don't understand. I'll tell you another one. Let's get to the next pick in the draft. That cat over there in San Francisco, everywhere he's been, it's been about his system. Mm-hmm. Not making his system fit the players that he has, but about making the players fit his system. He did it here in Houston. Mm-hmm. He did it in Washington and ran Donovan McNabb out of the league and literally ran RG3 into the ground, and then went into Atlanta and with his system blew a 28-3 fourth quarter lead in a whole doggone Super Bowl. And what is he doing now?
Lost a double-digit lead in the Super Bowl in San Francisco. And you look at the quarterbacks that he has preferred, none of them have been, none of the choices he's made in those positions have worked out. Kirk Cousins had a ceiling, and we've seen Kirk Cousins' ceiling. He loved Kirk Cousins, loved Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo had a ceiling, a hard ceiling.
Right.
And so, yeah, you wonder, like, all the people that like Trey Lance, to have him picked by Shanahan and to be in that situation and say, well, look, at the very least, he's got a great running game. You've got one of the best tight ends in the NFL, and you have some really good options on the outside, including Deebo Samuels, who I love. And then you have that mindset that he's a very good play caller, but he has weak spots. Mm-hmm. You're hoping that Trey Lance can take advantage of those weak spots in those moments and be able to do something outside the ordinary. And that's why you take a Trey Lance, is you're hoping that he brings an extraordinary quality to your offense. Not that he can just do the things that Jimmy Garoppolo did and help you win some games.
Right.
You're expecting him to have the difference, to have the whatever it is that you're trying to find. And so it's a bet. And it's probably the last bet he's going to get to make in San Francisco. Because if it doesn't work, right, it's over, because they've only had one winning season in the last 4 years. And if they lose this year, they finish 8-9 or whatever this year. That's 4 losing seasons in 5 years. You have to go. You can't justify him still being in that spot.
Yeah. And I get that he's, pulling out all stops, the whole moving on from – that's the other thing. Let's see if I got time to get to it. Is Jimmy Garoppolo going to play along with this game plan of I'm just keeping the seat warm until we get Trey Lance coached up for the NFL? Why would he?
He better for right now, because he has no other options. I mean, maybe like who's going to be looking for Jimmy Garoppolo after this draft? Who's going to be out there who says, I need Jimmy Garoppolo, that can't just wait for him to get cut eventually? You're not going to trade anything for Jimmy Garoppolo. What are you going to give him? Why are you willing to give something up for somebody San Francisco doesn't want? And they've already told you they don't want him.
Right.
Wait for him.
Yeah.
He's not going to be I know he's not going to be my franchise quarterback. There's nobody out there. So if that's the case, then why would I pay them anything for him? So if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, you have nothing to do, but if you know that Lance is not going to be starting on week 1, then you better be ready. And you better come out the gate hot. and try to perform well so that it is a decision. And even if they already are going to Trey Lance, in the public's mind and the minds of other GMs, they had to make a decision. They didn't take Jimmy out. They had to make a choice, and we get it. Same way with Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner didn't play great with the Giants, but what did he do? He made sure Eli looked good. And when he was gone, then the Cardinals were willing to give him another shot. If you're Jimmy Garoppolo, you got to look at it like that.
Yeah. I just find it funny that, and especially the way that Shanahan is talking about it. I don't know if he's going to be on the roster. I don't know if he's even going to be alive in a couple of weeks. I'm like, come on, brother. You're really making it hard for this guy to hold the seat for somebody that you're bringing in that he's supposed to train up to replace him next season. Not even in the far future, distant future, but next season.
But so you remember last year that article about how Luke McCown and Ryan Fitzpatrick had done this great service to the NFL and training up quarterbacks wherever they went. And that's why they're so valuable and they've had better careers than people who were supposedly better than them. There's that mythology like, hey, you take care of these people, we'll take care of you. Mm-hmm. And so if you're Jimmy Garoppolo and you don't have any skins on the table,
right?
This is the only way to keep your survival for the short term, because you can end up like Josh Rosen real quick.
Right, that's true.
You know what I mean? And just be forgotten. And if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, you can't go from matinee idol Jimmy G and just be gone out of the league in another year.
True that. Let me take a quick break. We're coming back with David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, CrescentCitySports.com and MLBBro.com. Let me get to that question, too, when we come back on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
1140 AM and 92.3 FM. The legendary KYOK.
If your loved one has passed away due to COVID-19, pay close attention to this message. You could be entitled to a death benefit of over $300,000. The U.S. government has set up a fund to pay families relief if they've lost a loved one due to COVID-19. We know this is a hard time for you, and this fund has been set up by the federal government to help ease your pain. The compensation includes a death benefit and lost wages benefit. Time is limited, so we urge you to make a free phone call right now. There's no cost to you for this claim. All legal fees are only covered once you receive your money. So if you've lost a loved one due to COVID-19, call the legal helpline right now to find out if you qualify for a cash award. Here's our number: 800-876-7047. 800-876-7047. 800-876-7047. That's 800-876-7047. Paid for by the IPG Law Group.
Do you watch television? Of course you do. Then have you tried Dish TV from All American Dish yet? No? Well, now is a great time because we're giving everyone that calls today a 2-year locked-in price. Your rate will not change for 2 years. The clock is ticking. Call now, get Dish, and get your price locked in for 2 years and save yourself some money. Dish has your favorite TV programs, even Netflix and Amazon Prime built into the DVR. You can even watch Dish anywhere you have an internet connection. Plus, we've even got awesome discounts for the military and seniors. Oh, and one more thing. Call All American Dish now and we'll even give you a free Google TV voice remote, free installation, and free equipment. Don't wait. Call All American Dish now.
800-296-1302. 800-296-1302. 800-296-1302. That's 800-296-1302.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Obama. Barack and I are so thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine because this is a deadly disease and this vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. Getting vaccinated is safe and it could save your life and allow us to start getting back to seeing friends and family again. We can do this. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/coronavirus.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hey guys, this is your girl Brandy Nelson, and you are listening to The Lunch Break on KYOK.
All right, y'all, we're back here on The Lunch Break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. It is our Freestyle Friday. So glad to have David Grubb joining me here on the show. And a young lady by the name of TD asked the question, David, I'm a Cowboy fan. Should I be happy with who the Cowboys got in the first round?
I was surprised.
Penn State, Micah Parsons.
I like Micah Parsons. I really do. He went higher than I thought. So I think he's a very good player, and Dallas had to address that defense. And then, linebacker has been a problem for them for years now, ever since Sean Lee started getting hurt, and just couldn't stay on the field with regularity. So I think Micah Parsons was probably, if not the best, I would say, I think he was I'd say he's the best. I had him as the top linebacker going. So he went a little higher than I thought. But I think Dallas, I thought Dallas was either going to be able to get Surtain, but he went a spot earlier than I thought. With Denver I thought Denver was going to take a quarterback. But either Surtain or Parsons, you can't go wrong with either one of them. They're the best at their positions, and you get the best linebacker available.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that too. If Surtain had been available, or the young man that Carolina went with, do you think Dallas goes linebacker, or do they address their secondary with that first pick?
If Surtain had been available, I think they take Surtain, because he was the best defensive player overall to me. Like he can come in and make an immediate impact at the corner spot. You don't have to worry about him in man. If you have to play him as your second corner, he's physical, he's long, and I know what stock he comes from.
Mm-hmm.
I played with his daddy in basketball.
Okay.
But his dad is one of the smartest people, not just athletes. His dad is a tremendously smart person with tremendous instincts, and now coaches over at Heritage High School in Miami. And that kid comes in ready. He knows how to break down film. He knows how to read. And he's humble. Whoever got Patrick is going to have a good time with him. And Denver got the best defender on the board. But Micah Parsons was for me, J.C. Horn went way higher than I thought.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think Parsons is better than Horn, but again, corner is a position right now. Dallas needs that support at this linebacker spot. Who can you name a Dallas linebacker right now?
Kid out of Notre Dame. What's his name?
Was he impactful last year? I'm trying to remember because I didn't. But
you know what I noticed last year is that your boy Van Der Esch took a step back.
Yeah, he did.
Leighton Van Der Esch began to get in the way, similar to here when Brian Cushing wasn't on drugs and we found out he couldn't play.
Yeah,
he would get in the way of guys like Bernardrick McKinney. He would get in the way of some of the other linebackers until they got him out of there and put a linebacker in there that can play. That's kind of what we saw with Leighton Van Der Esch last season. So it meant that, and I can't think of his name, the linebacker out of Notre Dame, came back from that horrific injury. But he was having to step over guys to get sideline to sideline, where normally they're all flowing in the same direction, and they didn't have those problems. But
Dallas defense has always been best when it's had somebody dynamic in the middle who could run it, or can be sideline to sideline and do pursuit. Because you look at it from Ken Norton to Dat Nguyen to Sean Lee, all these people who have been great tacklers and could control their team. I think that's what you're really trying to get, is a versatile linebacker who can do a little bit of everything, and Micah Parsons can do that.
Say Jalen Smith is who I'm thinking of. And again, you put Jalen Smith in there with Parsons, and Van Der Esch has got to step up. Van Der Esch has got to step up. Now you got something with that defense. And then they brought in Mike Smith, right, to be the defensive coordinator. And he ain't good as a head coach, but he can put together a pretty good defense. We'll see where they go from there. But I was surprised that they didn't address the secondary. And let me get to this question that just came in from C-Dub. C-Dub said, AJ, ask David why or when the Cowboys will readdress the offensive line.
I mean, that's why I was surprised that they took Parsons at 12, because there were still offensive linemen available. If you were going to get Surtain, that's a high level because you have a corner problem. And then your second biggest problem is your protection, because you're going to be bringing back a quarterback who's coming off a pretty bad injury, and you want to protect him. You need to create some running space for Zeke Elliott, and you have these great wide receivers that you need to give time to. So, yeah, there were really solid offensive linemen who dropped to where they were, like a Rashawn Slater, who was sitting there and goes next to the Chargers, who were also in dire need of an offensive lineman. The early part of this first round should have, outside of those quarterbacks who went, it was all corners and offensive linemen early. So I was just surprised that Dallas did take a linebacker that high based on their need. Like I said, I thought Surtain was going to be the choice. Once he was gone, their second need should have been offensive linemen. So they better get some, because it's not really that deep with elite offensive linemen. The high end was good, but the depth isn't great.
Right. David Grubb joining us here on Freestyle Friday. It goes back to that old draft theory. You draft best available versus need, whereas most fans feel like you ought to draft to the need and then best available. So
but you're counting on Micah Parsons then to be a Pro Bowler. If you're taking him at this point, you're not taking him to be good. You're taking him to be great.
Right.
So your rating on him better be you're counting on your scouts and your coaches to do a great job and he better start from day one. Like you said, the need is so much greater somewhere else. You have to have evaluated these positions well. They're going to be judged quickly. Dallas is going to be judged quickly because they're not in the same position as a lot of other teams are. You're supposed to be ready to compete for at least the division.
Yeah.
That's the bare minimum for that team. And so if Dak Prescott comes back and he's not getting protected and you're put in a position to have to put a backup in again because you couldn't protect Prescott, no, they can't be in that spot. And so they better get some offensive linemen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Prescott and Zeke Elliott behind a really good offensive line is deadly. Them behind a mediocre offensive line, they still good, but they ain't deadly. So, man, these questions are coming in now. Let me hit this one to you. This is from 713-212. AJ, what does David think about teams getting players from the same teams as the other players that they have already?
All those quarterbacks getting reunited with receivers and things like that. I thought it was strange. I get that these guys are all talented, but I think it is a lot of hoping to think that just because they've played together before, you can recreate that somewhere else. That's not necessarily true. We're talking about systems and we're talking about other players involved. You don't, just because and I think Jamar Chase is a great receiver.
Mm-hmm.
But just because Joe Burrow likes Jamar Chase and Jamar Chase is coming and saying, I'm going to break every Bengals record, and hey, dude, be that confident.
Right.
Go for it.
Right.
Like, have a goal. That's your goal. That's a great goal. Go for it.
Right.
Or let's say I go 2 games and I can't get him the ball. And we're friends. See, that business and friendship thing, I can't serve you now, man. It's a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From week to week, it's going to be different now.
Yeah.
And our responsibilities are different now.
Yeah.
Because we're paying I'm playing for bills,
right,
for food, and all these. I'm trying to live off this.
Yeah, bro.
So I think that's the thing, is you try to recreate stuff. Where have we seen that before? Like, what team? I've never seen it be something that carried over from college to the NFL. I can't recall it where 2 players have gone from the place in relatively short time and then did what they did before.
Yeah.
So I thought it was strange. Yeah. I can't say it won't work. It might. We haven't seen it, but I thought it was strange.
Like anything else, it might work in one place and not in the other for different reasons. In Philadelphia, you got a playmaking quarterback and you got him a playmaker and a doggone good one if his body can hold up and all that. And I'm not saying it can't. I'm just throwing that out there. But in Cincinnati, you got Joe Burrow, who was running for his life until they caught up to him, and then he was out of the season. It don't matter if he's got Chase over there.
Ask Matthew Stafford about that.
Right.
I could give you Calvin Johnson.
Yep.
But if I can't protect you and we can't run the football, you'll get all the numbers, but you'll never win games that count. And that is what the Bengals really have to work on too, is they have so many holes.
Yeah.
Particularly on the offensive side at that line. You know, people say it was a lot of coverage sacks because they didn't have explosive players, and I think that is the case. Yeah, there's a lot of that. You need to have weapons on the outside, but we saw Joe Burrow run it. We saw that.
Yep.
And it's not how frequently; it's how close they're getting to your man. It's one thing for him to be under pressure and you're still giving him a chance to step up, but when he's under pressure and he's getting hit, that's a problem, and you can't have Burrow getting hit.
Right. Yeah. Again, it's good to have the weapons, but you got to have time to get the ball to them. So I kind of like what Philly did. Similar to what we said about the Cowboys. If the Bengals don't get some offensive line help early in the second round and early in the third round, then all of that will be for naught. All of that will be for naught. David, I got to get Sybil Wilkes on here. How long do you have with us today?
I can roll.
Okay. All right. Let me get Sybil Wilkes on. We'll come back and break it down some more because obviously we got to get down to that number 28 pick. All right. We'll be right back with David Grubb right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. Here's Sybil Wilkes, what you need to know today.
It's Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. For years, civil rights and anti-smoking organizations have been fighting to ban menthol flavoring by tobacco companies. They've been using it to entice smokers of color, especially black folks. The FDA has announced it's moving forward on another attempt to ban the mint in cigarettes and cigars. Obviously, tobacco companies are against the proposed ban and will work to prevent it from ever taking place. The Small Business Administration is beginning a new program to help struggling restaurants that have been impacted by the pandemic. Launching Monday, May 3rd, the $28.6 billion Restaurant Revitalization Fund will award grants to restaurant owners who continue to feel the effects of pandemic shutdowns and costs to implement new COVID-19 procedures. For the first 21 days of the program, the fund will prioritize women, veterans, and historically disadvantaged individuals. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.
You're having your lunch on the lunch break with KYOK.
All right, just before we get to the top of the hour, let me give you a quick sports update. Again, round one of the NFL draft was on the books. Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence went number 1 to Jacksonville. Zach Wilson, number 2 to the Jets. And number 3, Trey Lance to San Francisco. Cowboys got linebacker Micah Parsons out of Penn State at 12. The Saints took U of H defensive lineman Peyton Turner. Again, we'll talk about him in a second. Rounds 2 and 3 tonight, 6 o'clock p.m. Rounds 4 through 7 tomorrow. Rockets got a 50-burger out of none other than KPG, Kevin Porter Jr. I guess he said if the league is going to find him 50, he's going to drop 50 on them. They got a 143-136 win on Milwaukee. Dallas beat Detroit 115-105. Tim Hardaway Jr. dropped 42. New Orleans beat Oklahoma City 109-95. Zion Williamson 28 in the win. Spurs visit the Celtics tonight at 6:30. Astros got 2 hit and shut out by Seattle 1-0 last night. Stros are in Tampa to take on the Rays tonight at 6:10. Rangers beat Boston 4-1. Game 2 tonight at 7:05. All right, David, we got to hit the top of the hour, man. But at number 28, Saints came all the way down to Houston, and they got him a stud, but he's kind of raw. Didn't play a whole lot. Good dude, very good dude. Somebody said they got more defensive end and edge rushers on that team than anything else.
Yeah, they got 9 of them.
9 of them.
9 of them. Ain't got no tackles. Got a lot of DNs. And I don't understand that pick.
Okay.
It's not a knock on the player because the player has no control of where you go. So you can't be mad at a kid.
Wait, David, hold that thought.
The legendary 1140 AM KYOK Conroe and 92.3 FM K222CX Houston.
The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on KYOK are entirely those of the host, guests, and callers who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
All right, y'all. First hour on the books, second hour underway right here on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. It's our Freestyle Friday. David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, writer for MLBBro.com and CrescentCitySports.com, hanging out with me as we break down the draft. We're talking about the Saints pick in the first round, where they came down here to Houston and picked up Peyton Turner to join an already busy defensive end, outside linebacker. What's the actual position y'all working with?
Yeah, it's a lot of speed guys. You know, you have a lot of these hybrid DNs. I mean, Cam Jordan is the biggest of that group.
Right.
You know, they have some of those guys can play inside. But I'm just surprised. Like you said, he has work to do. And the Saints just gave up on, you know, they let a project walk in Trey Hendrickson because of his cost, and that they felt they could replicate that. But you know they have the hole at corner, and with Stokes still on the board, that's who I thought the Saints were going to take Stokes. So I was surprised just at that part of it. For them to take a D end, again, you know, like I say, that must be their highest rated player available on the board. They saw something that other folks didn't. I hope the kid works out, and I have to give faith in the Saints considering their recent draft history. So I have to trust their evaluation based on their recent draft history. I just thought it was a bad fit for a guy that probably would have been available in the second round that you could have moved up for if you really liked him. You could have given up a third rounder maybe and gotten him for a better value and still addressed that corner need.
Yeah, here's one of my guys. He lives in Carrico. I know I said it wrong, but T-Bone said, AJ, ask David, what are they really going to do at quarterback? Forget the draft.
I think Jameis is going to start. You know, they say Taysom is really invested and working hard, but all the receivers are with Jameis. All the receivers are hanging out with Jameis this offseason. So if they have any say in it, he's going to be the starter. And I think the contract that they give Taysom shows you also that they're not convinced he can really play. It was safe when you didn't have to bid against anybody for Jameis, and I wouldn't have given him a long-term deal after him only playing in one game either. That was the whole point of them not playing him. In their minds was suppress that value for other teams around the league and not let them really see what they had. And they knew that their salary cap situation was bad and they couldn't pay him $20 million. So you get him at a value, you're hoping you can coach him up in 1 year and then re-sign him to a more team-friendly deal for a long term. They will probably take a quarterback later in this draft, but Sean Payton is trying to win now.
Yeah, he is.
Some of these guys on this roster, at the expense that they are, knowing how good this team legitimately is, if they had better quarterback play, they would have been in a Super Bowl the last 4 years. It's just that simple.
T-Bone came back with another text, and he said, is there anything that they can do to get Aaron Rodgers?
No. He ain't going nowhere. It's too much of a hit for the Packers. Why would they give it? It's the financial part of it doesn't make sense for Green Bay. It just doesn't. It's the same reason Russell Wilson isn't going anywhere. He may not be happy, but finances, that's the thing. It's worse for the team than it is for you. You can get out of that deal, but the team, because of the cap hit, Green Bay's not going to take a $30 million cap hit. They aren't going to do that for a guy that's not on their roster.
Yeah.
So not in that market. You can't take that on. There's no additional money coming in.
Yeah.
So,
I said that about Deshaun Watson. They were going to take a $40 million dead money hit. Nothing you can do about it. There ain't no way to get rid of it. No way to, amortize it out, spread it out. Nothing.
What team is going to take that? Because you lose all flexibility with your roster if you have that big of a hole for somebody who's not playing. Can't do it.
Yeah. All right. So Peyton Turner, again, big dude, space eater, but you can see the raw talent. He doesn't have a whole repertoire on his pass rush. He's, pretty much bull rush, a little bit of speed rush. That's about it. Good hands, but he doesn't have a whole lot when it comes to that repertoire. Not saying you can't coach him up.
Yeah.
You got to coach him up.
Right. And that, again, this is the problem with the draft, because now his value, people are going to judge him by where he's taken.
Right.
And he didn't ask to be taken. You know what I mean? Like, that's why the number is so hard. Mm-hmm. Like, it's one thing to be a rookie. Everybody comes in as a rookie. That's hard enough. But now you have determined my value already, what I should do. That doesn't give me the opportunity to work under the auspices of I'm here to learn and improve.
Mm-hmm.
I have to work to meet an expectation level from day one. And that is very different than saying, I need you to start at this place and then get better. We figure out where you are and then get better. But if I'm anticipating that you're going to come in and do ABC from day one, that with this kind of player that you're taking, you know what I mean? Like when a guy that people are not saying is a surefire, then that's, you put a burden on both sides there. That's very hard because you can't justify, you know, for all of them, the team has to justify the pick and the kid has to justify the spot taken.
Right.
And that is difficult all around because you are looking for things, then you have changed the way you are looking and evaluating because they're based on your expectation and not a clear eye.
Mm-hmm. David, with that being said, let's kind of break it down. Let's talk about the 5 quarterbacks taken. Which one of those 5 or ones of those 5 do you see on the field first weekend in September?
Fields, Lawrence, those 2 will start from day one. You know, Zach Wilson's going to start from day one. I think Trey Lance probably mid-season is that they're hoping that they can have him ready by then because he didn't miss all of last year, basically. You know, you can't – he'd probably be on the second half of that. They want to be have him go by then. So I guess the only guy you're talking about, is he going to start from day one, is Mac Jones, which you know he won't.
Right.
Because Cam Newton is there. So he's the most long-term of the 5 that were taken. You'd expect all 4 of the others to be starting at some point this season.
That's interesting because, you know, the Bears are still saying Andy Dalton is our guy.
Okay.
Day one, QB1, Andy Dalton. I have seen more than my share of Andy Dalton, from Katy High School to TCU to the Cincinnati Bengals. I really feel like this is more, but I shouldn't say it, but I really feel like they need to charge him with wrongful death in the career of Marvin Lewis, because if Marvin had gotten away from Andy Dalton, he would probably still be coaching them Cincinnati Bengals. But hey, that's what a quarterback killer will do. He will kill your career. And now here he is in Chicago, and he is walking around like he really is QB1.
And you think about it, if you're a Bears skill position player or a lineman, you've seen this movie already. Nick Foles was that movie. Mitchell Trubisky was that movie. You've seen all these quarterbacks who are just okay or below that, and you have a kid in Justin Fields who's coming off 2 of the most impressive statistical seasons in college football history, a national championship win, and has everything. He's tall enough, the arm is big enough, the mobility, the ability to connect with teammates, the big plays, the little things. He does all those things, and yet you're saying he's not the guy in Chicago that hasn't had a Pro Bowl quarterback. Jay Cutler made 1 Pro Bowl, I think, 1, and it was as an alternate. So you talk about, since 50 years, 60 years since they've had a first-round quarterback pan out? Come on. Andy Dalton? Come on.
Yeah, man.
No.
I'm believing coming out of training camp. I'm sorry, out of preseason. It'll be Justin Fields. That's what I believe. I could be wrong. I doubt it, though.
If I'm Justin Fields, you're coming in there, you have to think of yourself as the starter.
Yeah.
I don't care what the team tells you. Yeah. I don't care what anybody. If you come in, you have to come in with a starter's mindset.
Yeah.
You have to pretend Andy Dalton doesn't exist. You're gonna learn from him, but his focus should be, I'm going to be the starter on this team. Right. He can't come in and say, I'm here to learn, because the opportunity is there from him to take that job from day one.
Yeah. That's what happened down here in training camp and preseason. Deshaun outplayed everybody in the building, and Bill O'Brien, rest in Alabama, wherever he is, he's like, well, the guy that gives us the best chance to win is none other than Tom Savage. And after a half, told Tom, look, you ain't got to go home, but sit your tail right over here, hold this clipboard, give me your helmet, and we putting Deshaun in. And, he didn't come out of the starting lineup until he got hurt. So I believe Justin Fields has that shot. Now, the one that I'm kind of uncertain about is the Trey Lance thing. Why would you put him in if you're in contention with Jimmy Garoppolo and you're in contention, nice little spot in the seedings for the playoffs? Why would you take Garoppolo out and put Trey Lance in?
Because you're trying to get rid of Garoppolo no matter what. And you need his value to go up. So if he's playing well, his value goes up. You know he's not your long-term starter anyway, and you can move him before the deadline.
Yeah.
If he doesn't play well, he justifies moving Lance into the lineup. So it's a win-win for San Francisco either way.
Yeah, I got you. In fact, let me get one of the big-time Cowboy fans on. Big-time Floyd says, hello, David and AJ and the Breakers. Congrats to Jerry Jones and the boys for picking Micah Parsons. He will make an impact at linebacker and improve our horrible defense. Go Cowboys.
Yeah, we like Parsons. Like I said, I thought he was the best linebacker on the board.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, again, I think there was a better player. That's all I'm saying is there was a better player that I thought was higher on that. And I think a lot of people thought was higher than that on the board. Not that he should have been. He was projected to go middle first round. That's where Micah Parsons was projected to go. So It's not like you reached, but just as a position. So he has to be a Pro Bowler. That's why you've taken him. Micah Parsons has to be a Pro Bowler in Dallas.
Who do you think got the steal of the draft? And hold that before you answer. I got to take this quick break. But who do you think got the steal of the draft? And we'll be right back with David Grubb right after this on the lunch break.
Hello, this is Claude Cummings Jr., Vice President of the Communication Workers of America District 6. Trey and I are inviting you to listen in to our new political talk show, Power to the People Political Hour.
Hello, this is Trey Daniels from the Daniels Group. Yes, Claude, the show will be hard-hitting and informative, talking about national and local political issues of the day, week, and month. Interviews will be with pastors, community leaders, elected officials, and political operatives. You know, Claude, a part of our responsibility is informing the citizenry and give them power to the people.
That's right, Trey. We're asking that you listen in on 1140 AM, 92.3, or streaming on KYOKradio.org, Thursdays at 10 a.m. Give the people what they want.
Lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
All right, y'all, back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It's our Freestyle Friday. And got David Grubb joining me, as always, and just loving the commentary, man. A number of people have texted in and said they enjoy the way you're breaking it down. And even this one young lady says, yeah, I really agree with what David is saying about some of these picks. We'll see how they play out when they finally get a chance to play. So now I love our educated listeners, and you're helping them right there. Who got the steal of the draft for you?
Minnesota.
Okay.
Christian Darrisaw at 23. And I thought, and most people thought he was going to be a top 10 pick. I had Christian Darrisaw going to Miami because, to help out their offensive line. But they got a really solid pick for what they did. But for Darrisaw to fall all the way to 23 and for Minnesota to be able to trade back to get him, that's a win-win. That's a huge win for them because you have Dalvin Cook. You have, on the outside, you've already got your receiver. And even if you're not in love with Kirk Cousins, which they shouldn't be, and they're not, I don't think, but they keep giving him these extensions. But if even with that, you've given him more protection because you have to protect Kirk Cousins.
Right.
You cannot operate in a world where he's not getting great protection. So to get a guy with that kind of value, a top 10 value, who is one of the 3 or 4 best offensive linemen in the entire draft, and you get him at 23, take it and run.
I'm right there with you. And again, I can't believe I'm saying this about this team. Tell our little sister that I said this. I think the pick that Washington made at 19, Jamin Davis, that defense is already a problem. And that young man can play. And he's one of those kind of hybrid. I'm thinking of the what's the young man used to play for Tennessee and he played for Philadelphia. Javon Curse. I see a little bit of that in this young man. And if he can make that Washington defense even better, that's going to be a problem, bro. That's going to be a problem. I don't know about the offense, but that defense is going to be a problem.
Yeah, I was surprised that Davis went that high. But I get why they took him because I thought no matter what, Washington was going to take an edge rusher. Because I had scheduled him for Kwity Paye, who went later to Indianapolis.
Yeah, to the Colts, yep.
And I thought Paye, because he's the same type of athlete, that hybrid kind of defensive end linebacker, edge rusher. So yeah, it makes sense. The pick makes sense, and Davis has all the athletic ability in the world, and with that defense to have those guys around him, he should be good from day one. Again, you just wonder for value for spot. That's all. That's the only criticism you would have is that the value at 19, because he was not on anybody's board in first round. So if you that's the only thing. Now he can certainly play up to that again because of that defense that he's already on.
Right.
But that's the one question you'll have is, was he the value at 19?
Yeah, I got you. And then there's another one that it's hard to say he's a steal because he was expected to go high, but the Falcons got them a player.
Yeah, after the top 4, everything fell apart for me in my draft. But Kyle Pitts, in Atlanta, that's a perfect fit. That's what they've needed. They tried it with Tony Gonzalez at the end of his career, but he was spent. His best years were given to Kansas City.
Yeah.
You get a chance now to give the Falcons something that they have not had at that position, explosiveness in a league where tight ends, you see what Travis Kelce has done. You see what, George, I don't know why his name just fell out of my head. It's San Francisco.
Kittle.
Yeah, George Kittle. And the teams that have great tight end play, their quarterbacks, it's an advantage you cannot, because so many teams are playing nickel throughout the entire game that if you have a great tight end who can go one-on-one with linebackers and corners, it's over. It's over. So yeah, you gave Matt Ryan, who's still playing good football.
Yeah.
The problem has not been Matt Ryan. He's not ever going to be, he's not ever going to be Drew Brees or Tom Brady, but the problem is not Matt Ryan per se in Atlanta. The problem has been other places. So yeah, if you're going to stick with Matt Ryan and there weren't any other better options out there for them at 4, I wouldn't have taken Justin Fields at 4, considering what you do have on the roster. You know what I mean? So I think if you're Atlanta and you have to be relevant right now, yeah, I think it's the right pick for them to take in Pitts.
What's the young man quarterback out of Georgia? Jamie
Newman.
Jamie Newman. I always get it wrong. You know who I say call him? Jamie Martin.
But Jamie Newman got to start at Wake Forest. So Jamie didn't play no games at Georgia. So he's still really Wake Forest.
So there's nothing that's stopping them from bringing him in the later rounds. But like
he's a top 7 quarterback in this draft as far as ability goes. If you're talking about Trey Lance,
I was just gonna say that. Yep.
And you talk about the ceiling that Trey Lance has.
Yep.
Then Jamie Newman's ceiling may not be projected as high, but it's not potentially is not far behind.
Yeah.
And so I think if you get him in round 2, if you're Atlanta, it could be very similar to the draft when they took in the first round. Remember when the Chargers traded back in the first round in the Michael Vick deal, and they took in the first they took Antonio Gates in the first round that year, I believe. And they took Breeze at the top of the second round. You may have your quarterback of the future if you get Jamie Newman early in round 2 today, and you pair him with Kyle Pitts, and you trade Julio Jones, which has been talked about. Could build the offense of your future, still with the second round.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, anything that San Francisco can do in grooming Trey Lance, Atlanta could do the same thing with grooming Jamie Newman with a later round pick. That being said, let's go to Pittsburgh. They went running back.
I didn't get that.
I'm trying to, because it was Najee, I'm kind of like, all right, you got a player and you got a guy who can solidify your running game for a while to come. But weren't there other areas that they could have gone? I mean, that's truly best available, right? Or no?
I mean, my thought was that Najee had fallen out of the first round.
Okay.
Because I thought, Najee's the best back in the draft, but if he didn't go to certain teams, there were certain teams that I thought he was a better fit for than others.
Okay.
And so he kind of jumped back up. I don't know why Pittsburgh didn't necessarily take an offensive lineman, knowing that Ben Roethlisberger is slowed down tremendously, and you're still counting on him to get you through this last year. That was surprising. And then just for value, again, I think you could have gotten Najee. Once he felt that far, who behind you, if you're Pittsburgh, was going to take him? He wasn't going to Jacksonville, clearly, for them to take Travis Etienne. That's who they were going to take. Cleveland wasn't going to take him. They have their backs. Baltimore wasn't going to take him. New Orleans wasn't going to take him. Green Bay, maybe. But he could have fallen into the second round. And then with running backs again, unless you are counting on him being the next Travis Henry, and that's what you have to be counting on then, why would you take him at that high of a spot? There's value to be had in the running back spot in the third round.
Well, let me say this. They don't pick again until 55. There's a whole lot of teams that might have taken Najee.
But again, you have to be counting on him. He's the centerpiece of your offense now. That's what you're saying.
And I want to talk about that too. And God dog, we got to take a quick break. Let me take this quick break. I'll be right back.
Tires? Check out OMG Tire Services and more. New and used tires, all the name brands you desire. Located at 3126 Tidwell between 59 North and Jensen. Give them a call at 832-767-3211. Top-notch service from beginning to end. When you're done, get your car hand washed inside and out at OMG Tire Services and more. Located at 3126 Tidwell between 59 North and Jensen. Call 832-767-3211. That's 832-767-3211. Conveniently located on the north side.
The legendary KYOK 1140 AM. The legendary KYOK 92.3 FM. Two radio stations in one.
I'm Larry Scott, host of the Not So Christian and Me Show. Join me Saturdays for great fun, interviews, music, and the latest news surrounding our world today. We are the show that cares to hear your voice and opinion with real conversation in a no judgment zone. So join me Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m. on the Not So Christian and Me Show, right here on the legendary KYOK Radio, 1140 AM, and the all-new 92.3 FM and KYOKradio.org. Tune in to Table Talk with your boy, TD Blackshear, every Tuesday from 10 to 11 a.m. on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and 92.3 FM. See you there.
You're having your lunch on the lunch break with KYOK.
All right, back on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones, and I see a couple of questions coming in. Let me ask this question first, and then TG, I'm going to ask your question after that. TG, stay right there. So we were talking about Pittsburgh. Could they possibly be trying to take some of the pressure off of Roethlisberger? Because they saw last couple of years, he don't have it like that no more. They're not going to win it with him throwing it 45, 50 times a game and trying to win it with his arm, even with the kind of weapons that they have receiver-wise. When they can hand the ball off to a guy 20, 25 times a game and he gets some productivity, now Roethlisberger gets to do what Jameis Winston is okay with becoming, and that's a game manager instead of a game winner.
Is your line good enough to do that?
That part.
Because it's not like Pittsburgh has never had running backs. We talking about a team that had, Le'Veon Bell, that had very solid running backs. John Connor is a good running back. So it's not like this has not been a ground team. Mike Tomlin likes to run the football. So you have to be deciding that this is his offense. Because look at the picks in the first round running backs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year. Superfluous, right? The Chiefs could do that. They could play around and take whomever they wanted in that spot. So they took Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You talk about Josh Jacobs with the Raiders. He's been good. He's not the centerpiece of that offense.
Right.
And we could go on about the Raiders in a minute, but the Raiders, taking Josh Jacobs in the first round, and then you go back the year before that, Saquon Barkley, Okay, but he's been hurt,
right?
For most of his career. Rashad Penny, Sonny Michel, any of them. We talk about these Leonard Fournette.
Right.
The last first round back that was really great was Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So you're looking over these last few years. Zeke, you bet if you decided Zeke Elliott, what'd you get? You got 1,700 yards out the box with Zeke. Then that's what you're counting on with Najee Harris. I'm just saying this is a 1,700 yard back or 1,500 yard back in year one. You know what I mean? If the 17 game season, you're counting on 80 yards a game out of this guy. So then if that's the case, then you better do it. You better do it.
Yeah. As long as they ain't throwing the ball with Ben 50 times a game, I think they are better off. They're putting themselves in a better chance to win. All right, let me I think it's TG that asked a question. David, I am a Saints fan. Are our Saints better after last night?
We don't know. I don't think you can say because the draft is not in isolation.
Okay.
So I don't know if the Saints are, what other moves they have to make. They have the whole draft left to go. So everything is in concert with everything else. And we haven't seen this kid enough. He hasn't taken the field yet. So it's not fair to say it. Like the whole comparison for me is that's why we keep talking about value. That's going to be the question. The Saints fulfilled you can say that they needed some athleticism on the line, but it wasn't their priority. And like I said, I trust their track record. I have to give them the benefit of the doubt with Jeff Ireland making these picks. But I don't think it was the appropriate value. But they could still be a better team. This kid could come into camp and be fantastic from day one. Then what are we going to say? Yeah, he's better.
Yeah.
But if the team isn't, if he's not ready, that doesn't mean you still didn't. If he's great next year, I don't. We can't take it in the abstract. So I'm just saying value-wise, no, I don't think it was the right pick value-wise, but I'm not willing to say the Saints struck out on that pick.
Yeah, I got you. And granted, there's a lot of picks left. Again, rounds 2 through 3 tonight, and then rounds 4 through 7 tomorrow night. But let's look at it fan base. I know who we are, what we do. Fan base, yesterday I said I got Tennessee winning the AFC South. I got the Colts in second. I got Jacksonville in third because the Texans with Deshaun Watson won 4 games. The Texans with Tyrod Taylor all of a sudden going to win 9, 10, 11, 12 games? I don't think so. I think the Texans stay right where they are in that 4 to 6 win range, and they're in the bottom of the barrel of the AFC South. Let's go get
all the dynamic players some guys have fallen into the second round, but you may be able to come up and try to do something. You don't have any draft capital.
None.
You don't have any player capital.
None.
So how can you be that much better coming out of this?
Yeah, can't move around a whole lot. You don't
have money to sign free agents. So how can you be that much better? You're hoping that the players you have on the roster get better, but your quarterback situation has gotten far worse. And again, it's not a knock on Tyrod Taylor. I think he is a very good quarterback, a guy who can get you a few wins. If you start him a season, there'll be ones he goes 9-8, I guess, now, and ones where he goes 8-9. But Deshaun Watson gives you potential for 14 wins.
Right.
That's a Hall of Fame level player
that
we talk about on his career trajectory, and you just don't get rid of those or lose those and think you can keep on a bad team in particular. Yeah, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah. That being said, NFC South, Tampa Bay.
I mean, you still make them. They have to be the favorite because they beat the Saints when it counted. So they're still the favorite. I think they did a good job in the draft. If round 1, I give them credit for taking Joe Tryon. I mean, you needed some younger people on that, and they love to blitz. You saw that throughout the postseason, and that's what they want to do is keep that pressure. Shaq Barrett is still young, but you have Jason Pierre-Paul is getting older, and Ndamukong Suh is getting older. So you want to keep that pass rush fresh. And we know in the NFL, you either have to have 2 things. You better have a great pass rush that makes your corners better, or you better have great corners that give you the time to rush the passer.
Yeah.
And the Bucs have some very good young corners.
Yeah.
But now you're adding to that pass rush. Yeah, they have to be the favorite.
Yeah. I that was one of those deals where, yo, Todd, what you want? You want what? Who? We take that dude that Todd wants right there. That's how I would have handled that draft right there. So, but does it come down to Tampa Bay and New Orleans at the end of the year like it did last year with the Saints in the situation that they're in now? Or does Carolina slip in there?
Yeah, Carolina, I would say Carolina, again, might make progress on the field, but I don't think that they're a winning team next year.
Yeah.
With Atlanta, the issue is still, can they stop people? Can they run the football? Can they protect Matt Ryan? Now, you got a weapon for him. You got a great, fantastic one. Right. Again, you still couldn't put Julio Jones in the end zone last year.
Yep.
All the yards he gets, he still can't get in the end zone. So you have to find ways to make that offense work at different levels and not just be able to get Julio catches. So I think that's the thing, is can they be consistent enough in the other areas? But I don't think that they're as good as what the Saints have still on the roster talent-wise. And then you have to give the advantage always to Sean Payton. Even if you called it a tie, he's still the best coach in that division.
Yeah,
that's to me, that's not a question at this point.
Yeah, no. If I had to rank coaches, I would go Payton, Arians, and everybody else. I'll leave it at that, because Matt Rule is he better win with Sam Darnold, because I mean he said last night, thanks to Carolina Blitz for sharing that, Vashti Hurt. We brought Sam Darnold in for a reason. We trust him. We believe that we will be able to win with Sam Darnold. You better, because you overlooked an available quarterback that you could have gotten to challenge Sam Darnold. That's the only quarterback they got on the roster right now.
Right. So you don't have a veteran that you feel confident in starting games. Darnold's very early in his career still. You don't have a young quarterback that your team can feel like you're going to develop and cultivate. So you put all your eggs in the Sam Darnold basket.
Yeah.
Because there's not a quarterback left in the draft that you think of as a difference maker, or even as the potential for that. There aren't a lot of depth at the quarterback spot. They're good ones, but if you're in that position, if you're Carolina, like if they took a Jamie Newman now, I think Jamie could come in and maybe challenge Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Sure. But I don't know if that's the best situation for Jamie. Like, I don't know if I'd be excited. The offense around you is really good, but your offensive line isn't better. That defensive unit has some holes. I mean, I think Jamie could come in and challenge for that spot, but they better get something. They need somebody to come in and make Darnold work.
Uh-oh. Okay, I'm sorry. Willie Gibson is sending me stuff talking about wow, and I'm thinking it's something major, and it's who the guys have on their arms during draft time. Yeah, man, I'm gonna leave that alone. So I'm looking at best available people, and when you talk about quarterbacks, what about this kid Kyle Trask out of Florida, Kellen Mond, the kid out of Stanford is supposedly.
A lot of people like him.
Yeah.
A lot of people like him. He just hasn't had any time. Again, he only started one season at Stanford, and that season was last year. So you take a lot of them. There's a lot more risk as you get deeper into it, obviously. But I think there's a lot of good talent still on the board that's better than what's available in the quarterback spot. Some good first rounders that fell. But there are some quarterbacks. I just don't like Trask. I don't like him. I've watched him play enough to see that, yeah, he's got arm talent and he's got all the physical tools, but I don't see accuracy. He makes a lot of risky throws. What's the young man out of Texas A&M? I'm forgetting him.
Kellen Mond.
Kellen Mond, yeah. I think he has a lot of upside too. Mm-hmm. I like Kellen Mond's decision making.
Mm-hmm.
I like his accuracy. And I like the fact that he can operate with less than great weapons around him.
Right.
I think Jimbo Fisher's overrated as a play caller and offensive mind, but Mond still stood out on the field.
Yeah.
And so I like him. So that's one thing too, is you have a lot of depth now at black quarterbacks coming in, and you're seeing this good number of quarterbacks that and not all of them look the same.
Right.
You're not trying to keep finding the next Michael Vick. But what's weird is that it made me think of, if Randall Cunningham were a rookie now, how much money would he be worth?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right about that. David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, MLBBro.com, and writer for CrescentCitySports.com. There's another name that's out there that I would love to see get, and he won't be around for the Saints, I don't believe, but Asante Samuel Jr.
Yeah, he won't be there, I don't think. He's so talented. That's weird, too, is you're seeing all these kids of guys that you recently saw in the NFL. It's not that – it doesn't feel like it was that long we were watching the
You're right. You're right.
Whether it was in Philly or in New England or what, it just feels like he just left.
Yeah.
And so to see his son there now, it's just, yeah, he's a really talented. I don't think he'll be there for the Saints. I mean, but again, you can't count them out to do something strange and jump up and take something. And, last year they had some interesting picks. So, I mean, I don't count the Saints out for anything doing something strange on day 2.
Yeah. Yeah, David Grubb joining us here. You got a couple of LSU guys out there. Elijah Moore. Not Elijah Moore, I'm sorry.
Terrence Marshall.
Yeah. Terrence Marshall's out there. Two states, if you will, that a lot of people think that more folks are coming out in the draft, Louisiana and Texas. To me, Louisiana has owned it. Obviously they owned the draft last year. They got another first rounder this year. Only kid to go in the first round out of the state of Texas this year was a kid from U of H that went to New Orleans. What do you think about that? What does that stem from? Is that recruiting? Is that what's the difference in that? How have they flip flopped? Because it used to be the UT guys and the A&M guys, and now it's LSU and U of H.
I think it has a lot to do with the recruiting. It has a lot. I mean, Mac Brown let it go for so long in the state of Texas. He kind of was on autopilot at the end of his tenure. So then when Charlie Strong took in, he never got a chance to establish any roots, really. He's gone and before his first contract was done, and that's an issue for another day.
Right.
And then you bring in Tom Herman, and he hasn't won the national recruiting battles because he doesn't have any connections in the state of Texas. So he hasn't made those inroads to make people want to play for him. All the Texas kids are coming to Louisiana or going further to the west or further to the east in both directions. The quarterbacks are leaving the state and going to other places. The great quarterbacks that are developed. Texas always develops high school quarterbacks, but they're leaving the state. They're constantly leaving the state. So that makes no sense to me. And then you look around and you look at all the, and you just don't see that Texas used to produce edge rushers. Where have they been?
Right.
You don't see that kind of talent. The cornerback position used to come out of Texas in that area, kids who came out of that area. There was a lot of those linebackers. You haven't just seen that production on any of those schools as of late. There's no wrecking crew at Texas A&M anymore.
Right. Haven't had that. Wow.
I think the last UT defender that went in the first round was Jeff Coat. I think that was the last UT defender to go in the first round.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And he was barely a Big 12 player, all defensive player.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're not producing guys at those positions, which are the lead positions now in the NFL. Edge rusher, quarterback, corner, wide receiver. Those are the 4 spots that went in the first round. Look at it. 5 offensive linemen, 5 quarterbacks, 5, it's just that Texas isn't producing them. And offensive line is a shock too, because Texas used to just throw out offensive linemen like Michigan used to. And now you don't see them coming out of those schools as frequently.
Yeah, so you got an edge rusher that's rated second round, Joseph Osai. He's 6'4", 253. And then you've got an offensive lineman that's rated second round as well. And that's Samuel Cosme. He's 6'7", 309. But just because you're rated second round don't mean you're going to go in the second round.
I mean, Cosme could have been a first rounder. He could have been a first round. He had that grade in that late first round, early second round area. So he's a talented player. People like him, but like you said, it's all situational because we saw guys without first round grades going in the first round. So does it just because you are first or second round grade, like you said, it's going to depend on what teams see in you. But Texas just hasn't been generating those top prospects as of late. And I think that has a lot to do with the coaches. There have not been really great coaches in the area of the last 5-6 years, and they haven't emphasized those areas that the NFL really wants.
Right. Right. That's true. I'm looking at this. Davis Mills is that quarterback out of Stanford. My son just sent me that. Davis Mills says that his throwing motion needs a little bit of work, but he's got a cannon for an arm.
Yeah, his decision making was a little bit of an issue. I think he didn't complete a high percentage of passes, but again, he's one of those people that you're saying 2 or 3 years down the road, he's somebody that you could develop into a legitimate NFL starter. I think his bust potential is low. I think his floor is high, but his ceiling is low. Yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Anything on Jabril Cox?
Jabril if Jabril had not played last year, it would have been a first-round pick.
Okay.
But he played on an awful defense.
Mm-hmm.
Awful defense. Just the worst LSU defense in probably, I think, 30, 40 years. So Jabril is going to be a value for somebody in the second or third round. And if he falls further than that, then he's a steal.
Yeah.
But I think Jabril is a very talented defensive player, has range, has speed, is physical, a little bigger. Like he's kind of that safety linebacker, like a really big safety linebacker. But I think he can grow and be a very solid player. I don't know if he's star potential, but I think he's a very solid linebacker.
I got to take another break. When we come back, let's go back and look at last year's draft and tell me what you think of all those LSU players that went last year. When you think about Queen and Jefferson and of course Joe and all them, and see if you feel as good about them where they went, knowing what you now know. And then we got to talk about Kim Mulkey and LSU. We'll do all that next when we come back with David Grubb right here on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
On April 1st, 2021, Martin Broadcasting, Inc., the licensee of station KYOK 1140 Conroe, Texas, filed an application with the Federal Communications Commission requesting renewal of its license. Members of the public wishing to view this application or obtain information about how to file comments and petitions on the application can visit publicfiles.fcc.gov and search in KYOK's public file.
Do you watch television? Of course you do. Then have you tried Dish TV from All American Dish yet? No? Well, now is a great time because we're giving everyone that calls today a 2-year locked-in price. Your rate will not change for 2 years. The clock is ticking. Call now, get Dish, and get your price locked in for 2 years and save yourself some money. Dish has your favorite TV programs, even Netflix and Amazon Prime built into the DVR. You can even watch Dish anywhere you have an internet connection. Plus, we've even got awesome discounts for the military and seniors. Oh, and one more thing. Call All American Dish now and we'll even give you a free Google TV voice remote, free installation, and free equipment. Don't wait. Call All American Dish now.
800-296-1302. 800-296-1302. 800-296-1302. That's 800-296-1302.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Obama. Barack and I are so thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine because this is a deadly disease and this vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. Getting vaccinated is safe and it could save your life and allow us to start getting back to seeing friends and family again. We can do this. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/coronavirus.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hey, this is Raven Rogers from the University of Oregon 800 meters, NCAA, 3-time NCAA champ, art major, Spanish fluent, Houston native right here. And you're listening to The Lunch Break with KYOK.
Appreciate you, Raven Rogers, right here on The Lunch Break. Hey, David, we got a caller real quick. Let's get the caller on, see what they're talking about, and then I want to go back and ask those questions I just talked about. Hello, you're live on The Lunch Break. Who's this?
Willie Gibson.
Man, you know what? You can't be sending me stuff like that, brother. And
please clean that up. Please clean it up. I said, whoa, that's a little... Yeah.
All right, so explain what you sent me. David Grubb has got his head down with his hand in his head. Explain that to me.
It was just a person that was represented at the NFL draft as well as the NBA draft. That was it.
Yeah, she was on one arm in the NBA draft, and then she was on another arm in the NFL draft. You can't, dude. She She got a free agent. She drafted somebody in one league and then got a free agent in another one.
You said that.
That's everybody with a Tupac song, but I ain't gonna say the name of it.
You said that. I didn't say that. No, sir.
Willie Gibson, man, all with David Grubb. Love having you two guys together, man. I got to get both y'all on video real soon. But your thoughts on Justin Field going to Chicago?
I think it's a great fit for him. I mean, Matt Nagy showed a lot of interest up here during the Buckeye Invitational, the OSU Pro Day, and they were in contact with him the entire time. Granted, San Francisco did an excellent job of playing that close to the vest because they actually requested a second pro day for Justin Fields, and from that it was kind of a maybe San Francisco is zeroing in on him at 3, but we saw it now. Clearly they took Trey Lance, but I think it's a good spot. I mean, no competition. I mean, Nick Foles, Andy Dalton. I mean, no long term issues there, and I think with him going to at 11, and he even said the last night he's been counted out before, and we've seen the result. Speaking of his time at Georgia, when clearly Jake Fromm was not the better quarterback at that time or now. So I think it's a great fit.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. There are some people, and David, I don't know if you noticed this as well. There are some people that noted on social media that he did not look happy about the selection. Did you see that? Did you feel that? I didn't.
No, I don't think that was the case.
Yeah. I think some people read too hard into some of these facial expressions and body language and all of that on social media.
You're not in the room. Like, you don't know what's they're in people's houses now. You know what I mean? It's different and stuff like that, or it's just different now. It's different. And I think players are not as, I think that it's just the emotion is a little bit different now. It is business for a lot of these guys. It's an expectation at a certain level for some athletes, and you get taken, you're like, okay, this is work. I'm not gonna sit here. Somebody, you saw it. What's the young man from Alabama that just got up and he put on his jacket and just kept walking? You know what I mean? Like, he didn't even give anybody a hug, a dab, anything. He said, it's time to go to work.
Yeah.
Just get up, he buttoned his jacket, he went up there, shook his hand, got his jersey picture, and went right in the back.
Yeah, he tweeted out afterwards the TV was late. He had already hugged everybody and then went out there. I'm like, I don't know, bro. That's a heck of a delay. But anyway,
I watched him get up. You see him get up from the seat and just keep moving. So tell me where the delay is.
Yeah, Willie, we're about to do something real interesting. I want you to be a part of it as well. We're looking back at last year's draft. And, because David is, of course, covers LSU and the teams in Louisiana, I was going to ask him if he felt like some of the guys that went early in last year's draft lived up to the draft. So obviously Joe Burrow at number 1. David, yes or no?
Oh, yeah. Burrow was going to be the rookie of the year till he got hurt.
Yeah.
It was his.
Willie, that's your area. What do you think? No, worth that pick with Cincinnati?
Absolutely. I mean, on behalf of let me say this, on behalf of the Buckeye contingent, we claim Joe Burrow.
I did claim him as well, too.
Yes, sir. So Buckeyes went 1, 2, 3 in last year's draft as we slumbers. But, no, without question, I mean, as David said, 10 games in, Joe Burrow was the rookie of the year prior to that injury. So, yeah, absolutely.
What about Patrick Queen, David? You think he lived up to his draft spot?
Yes, he did. And I last year, I think Saints fans will tell you they all wanted Patrick Queen. Everybody wanted Patrick Queen to come to New Orleans. And you saw what he did for Baltimore. Started 16 games, 100 tackles, got pressure on the quarterback. He did everything he was asked to do. He had a couple interceptions. I mean, he was starter from day one for one of the best defenses in the league.
Willie, what do you think about Patrick Queen?
I agree. As David said, I mean, 16 games started as a rookie, and on a Baltimore defense, it goes without saying. He definitely met, if not exceeded, expectation.
And then I got to go with your boy Jefferson. I love him. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I mean, that was the offensive rookie of the year that set, broke some of Randy Moss's records. he did not have as good a rookie season as Randy Moss. Anybody that tries to tell you that, it's just you didn't. The impact that Randy Moss had was just different than Justin Jefferson. It's just different. You don't know what you're talking about if you think, but Jefferson did everything else you could do, and you made Kirk Cousins look good.
That part.
So what did Justin Jefferson do wrong? Nothing. And he brought the gritty. He brought the gritty to the NFL. So there you go.
Willie Gibson, what are your thoughts of Justin Jefferson?
Joe Buck told me he was the greatest receiver in NFL history, but I digress. No, I mean, yeah, he definitely had a great season. I mean, and it'd be interesting to see what he does to build upon that in year 2 if Kirk Cousins can get it done. And that part remains to be seen.
Man, I tweeted out that Kirk Cousins would lose his mind if Minnesota drafted a quarterback. I wish they would have just got one just to see if you can shake Aaron Rodgers up by getting Jordan Love. What do you think they would have done to Kirk Cousins if they had brought in a quarterback? But here's one that I guess is more of a question mark. Clavon Chasen.
Kayvon
Chasen.
Bust. I didn't like Caleb. Look, Kayvon has all the athletic tools. All of them. Every last one of them. He does not have the motor. He didn't have it at LSU. He didn't show it in Jacksonville. That's a bad defense. So I will put that into context. That was the second worst defense in the NFL, but he didn't start for them but 2 games.
Right.
2 games on the worst defense in the league.
Right. That's it.
So that says something to me. And usually edge rushers come out of the gate sacking the quarterback. You know what I mean? Like the great ones, their first year, we'll go back to Lawrence Taylor. Javon Curse came in and we said double-digit sacks. Usually pass rushers from day one. You may have to add to your repertoire. Aaron Donald sacked the quarterback up the middle the day he started.
Yeah, he did.
That's what you wanted to see out of Kayvon Chasen. He didn't show that in year 1.
Yeah. Willie Gibson, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I was a little disappointed because me being a Dallas fan, had CeeDee Lamb not dropped to Dallas or where he was, and actually Jacksonville took Chasen the pick before. Dallas, I believe they took him at 19. Dallas took Lamb at 20. But yeah, that kind of was a man. We dodged one there. And this is rookie season. Definitely has room to grow, but I definitely agree that I expect a little bit more from him. But it's a bad defense in Jacksonville, and we'll see what happens with Charlie Strong and that defensive staff this upcoming year.
I'm glad to see Charlie back in the league. Let me flip-flop it. Chase Young, Ohio State, number 2. Did he live up to the hype? Willie, I'll start with you.
No, he exceeded it. I mean, that kid, he's one of the rare situation where a guy goes home. He's a DMV guy from Maryland. He goes home and at least in year 1, took care of business. He took care of business and was team captain towards the end of the season, which is for a rookie is almost unheard of. So yeah, he definitely, Chase is a rare talent. He's an expectation from my viewpoint.
Biggest mistake he made was calling out Tom Brady. Biggest mistake he made.
They won that game with a mediocre at best quarterback. They were right there. They gave Tampa the best game of everybody played in the playoffs.
Yep.
Didn't they?
Hold on.
And that says a lot. Washington, because of the one thing that they were able to do that none of the other teams did well against Tom Brady, Washington was able to rush him. Washington made him uncomfortable. Saints couldn't do it. Nobody else did it to Brady. I'm just saying, Chase Young, I don't blame him because you got to come in that way as a defensive lineman. You have to. That's the guy you're trying to hunt, and that's the attitude you're supposed to have. So I ain't mad at him. I was considering what he had around him, and for him to say that, go for it, dude. And I don't like Ohio State people. I'm Michigan. I was rooting for him. And Tom Brady's a Michigan guy, and I was rooting for Chase Young to knock his head off.
But look, in the words of Chris Paul, sitting next to my boy Clint Capella, heading into the playoffs versus Golden State. Come on, man. Come on. You ain't got to call them out. Just play well in the game. But I appreciate how Tom and the two of them hooked up after the game. Willie, what about Okudah?
It's incomplete. I mean, he got injured. I mean, he definitely has the skill set and the talent, but with him getting injured early on, tried to play through, but then eventually had to shut it down and have the surgery. So that that remains to be seen. Hopefully, he comes back this year and year 2 healthy in the NFC North, Chicago, Detroit. With Fields, it's going to be a little bit interesting for the Buckeye fans, Buckeye Nation. Is going to be looking at that one a lot.
And then Arnett also went in that first round. And then, David, I'm coming back for you on the one I forgot.
Yeah, David Arnett. I was shocked, to be honest with you. We had a joke last night. A colleague of mine is, hey, what if the Vegas Raiders take Sean Wade at 17 this year in the first round? Because it took Arnett last year at 18. It was a bit of a reach. No one here thought David Arnett was going at 18 to the Raiders, but he had a typical rookie season. I mean, non-scripted. Has flashes. He had injury. Came back. I believe he had COVID as well. Battled that. Came back, and but typical up and down rookie season, and hopefully he takes the experience in year 1 and builds upon it in this upcoming season.
David Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Incomplete, because I think he started off the year really well.
Yeah.
And then Kansas City added to the backfield, and they kind of abandoned the running game down the last half of the season.
Really
became a really one-dimensional team. So, Clyde is not supposed to be a 3-down back in the NFL. But I think Kansas City realized that they have some things that they need to do on the offense to make it again, to make it what it was 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Last season was too much dependent on Patrick Mahomes and what he could do. You can't put him in those positions of not giving him somebody who can extend a drive with their legs. You can't make him do everything. And I think that this year there'll be some modifications because Andy Reid has used guys like Clyde Edwards-Helaire before.
Yeah.
He's had players like that before. Darren Sproles, or, for all those years who did the same things, or Deuce Staley, similar build to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I think he can maximize him. It just last year wasn't perfect.
Yeah. I love what they did on the offensive line this year. I think that's going to benefit them a lot. Guys, I hate to do it. We're at that point where we got to go. David, I got to get you back so we can talk about Kim Mulkey and her. What did she say to Ed Orgeron? Do we know yet? Is there a translator or a lip reader? Anyway.
We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, definitely. Willie, tell everybody where they can find you and follow you, brother.
Find me on social media, Instagram and Twitter, Will Gibson 7. Facebook, Will Knows podcast.
Get ready for that podcast, brother. It's coming. It's coming with the fire. David, tell everybody what you got going on and everything where they can find you as well.
I got an article up today on Cedric Mullins of the Baltimore Orioles on MLBBro.com. Also, the first MLB Bro podcast went live this week, and I'm on that with J.R. Gamble doing my segment. It's called Classic Hits, where I talk about ball players from the past, the characters, the great players of the past. I just try to get with that. And we only did one Hard to Paint this week just because of a couple things that went on. But there's a really good one on Monday about the Pelicans and where they are. Next week, we'll be back to full swing.
All right. Next week, I'm going to ask you, is Babe Ruth black? Because I saw some pictures.
I've heard it before. It's not. We'll talk about it.
All right. We'll definitely do it. You guys take care, man. We'll talk to y'all real soon. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks, guys. Listen, we got to get ready to go. Sybil Wilkes with What You Need to Know. Y'all have a blessed and safe weekend. Lord say the same. I'll be back on Monday. Don't forget Coffee with Keith coming up tomorrow, 12 to 1. And then, of course, it's the Not So Christian in Me show after that. Y'all be blessed. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
32 million Americans have small business restaurants that have been impacted by the pandemic. Launching Monday, May 3rd, the $28.6 billion Restaurant Revitalization Fund will award grants to restaurant owners who continue to feel the effects of pandemic shutdowns. For the first 21 days the program is open, the fund will prioritize women, veterans, and historically disadvantaged individuals. I'm Sybil Wilson.
The legendary 1140 AM KYOK Conroe and 92.3 FM K222CX Houston. Are you ready?
All right, y'all. Sorry about that. Just kind of ran out of time. But again, I want to appreciate David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, MLBBro.com. Check that out. They got some good stuff. If you're a baseball fan, they got some great stuff on MLBBro.com. And again, Will Knows is coming. And when it does, we want to support them as well. Y'all do me a favor, share the show and help us grow. Still battling with Facebook and their algorithms and stuff like that. And honestly, got some folks who've been reporting the show because of some of the things that I've said about race relations and stuff like that. So they've really kind of started battling against us to kind of keep us from spreading. But if y'all can do me a favor, like the show, share the show, we can get back on top. As always, not this, definitely this. I really do love you. There's nothing you can do about it. But keep those masks on, wash your hands, and sanitize everything around you. Be sensitive to everyone around you. When you see that racism, kill it. Not the person, but the racism. All right, y'all. Take care.